What if I told you that the reason people ignore you isn't because you're not smart enough, attractive enough, or talented enough? Sounds impossible, right? Because most people believe that influence comes from talking more. Speak more. Explain more. Prove yourself more. Fight for attention more. That's what the world teaches you. But look around for a second. Have you ever noticed something strange? The loudest person in the room is rarely the most respected person in the room. The person talking non-stop, trying to impress everyone, trying to prove their value, usually becomes background noise. But then there's another person. Quiet. Calm. Saying almost nothing. Yet somehow, when they finally speak, everybody listens. Everybody pays attention. Everybody cares. Why? Why does one person fight for attention, while another person naturally attracts it? Why do some people walk into a room and immediately own it, without even trying? And what if I told you that you've been making one mistake your entire life, a mistake that silently destroys your influence every single day? Before we continue, hit like, subscribe, and stay until the end, because what you're about to learn might completely change the way people see you forever. Because here's what nobody tells you. Human beings don't respect noise, they notice it. There's a difference. Think about social media for a second. Every day people are shouting for attention. Look at me. Listen to me. Notice me. Approve me. And because everyone is doing the same thing, people become tired. Their minds become overloaded. Their attention becomes weaker. That's why powerful people understand something most people never learn. Silence creates curiosity, and curiosity creates attention. Think about the most mysterious person you've ever met. Maybe someone at school, maybe someone at work, maybe someone online. They weren't trying to impress everyone. They weren't talking non-stop. They weren't forcing people to notice them. Yet somehow people wanted to know more about them. People naturally became curious. People started asking questions. Why? Because the human mind hates missing information. The moment something feels hidden, people naturally want to discover it. Now think about your own life. How many times have you talked too much because you felt nervous? How many times have you explained yourself too much because you wanted people to understand you? How many times have you kept talking, hoping people would like you more? And then later you replayed everything inside your head thinking, why did I say that? Why couldn't I just stay calm? Why do I always do this? Because deep inside most people aren't talking because they want to communicate, they're talking because they're scared. Scared of silence. Scared of being ignored. Scared of being judged. Scared that if they stop talking, people will stop caring. So they keep filling every empty second with words, hoping those words will protect them. But here's the brutal truth. The more you chase attention, the further attention runs away from you. Because power never chases, power attracts. Look at truly respected people. Watch how they move. Watch how they speak. They don't rush. They don't panic. They don't desperately try to prove every thought inside their head. They understand something powerful. Words have value only when they are limited. Imagine if somebody gave you diamonds every single day. At first you'd be excited. But after some time, you'd stop caring. Why? Because things lose value when they become too available. Your words work the exact same way. If you talk non-stop, people stop feeling the value of what you say. If you're constantly explaining yourself, people stop respecting your position. If you're constantly proving yourself, people start questioning your worth. Because powerful people don't scream their value, they quietly live it. And this is where most people completely misunderstand influence. They think influence means controlling people. They think influence means being louder than everyone else. They think influence means having the perfect words. But real influence has never worked that way. Real influence is emotional. Real influence is psychological. Real influence happens before you even open your mouth. Because people don't always remember your words. They remember how you made them feel. Think about that for a second. Can you remember every conversation from last month? Probably not. But you definitely remember certain people. You remember how someone made you feel respected. You remember how someone made you feel important. You remember how someone made you feel calm, or uncomfortable. Why? Because emotions stay longer than words. And powerful people understand this better than anyone else. They don't try to dominate every conversation. They don't fight to become the center of attention. They do something different. They listen. Really listen. Because in a world where everyone wants to talk, the person who truly listens becomes rare. And rare things naturally become valuable. Think about it. When someone gives you their full attention, no phone, no distractions, no waiting for their turn to speak, you instantly feel something. You feel important. You feel respected. You feel heard. And without realizing it, you start trusting them more. You start liking them more. You start paying attention to them more. That's influence. Not forcing people, attracting people. Because here's a truth that changed lives for thousands of years. People care more about being understood than being impressed. Read that again in your mind. People care more about being understood than being impressed. Most people walk into conversations trying to sound smart, trying to look interesting, trying to prove themselves, while powerful people walk into conversations asking themselves one question. How can I understand this person? And that's exactly why people naturally move toward them. Because everybody wants to be heard, but very few people know how to hear others. Because here's something almost nobody realizes. The person asking all the questions usually has more control than the person giving all the answers. Think about that. The person talking non-stop is working hard. They're trying to be funny, trying to be interesting, trying to keep attention alive. But the person asking the right questions? They're doing something different. They're guiding the conversation without anyone even noticing it. And powerful people have understood this for centuries. Instead of saying, "Look how smart I am," they ask, "What do you think?" Instead of trying to dominate, they create space. Instead of trying to be heard, they make others feel heard. And suddenly something strange starts happening. People start liking them more. People start respecting them more. People start remembering them more. Why? Because everybody loves talking about themselves. Human beings naturally enjoy feeling important. So when somebody gives them that feeling, they become attracted to that person without even realizing it. That's why the strongest people in the room aren't always the loudest, they're usually the calmest. They're watching. Listening. Understanding people. Because they know something others don't. Information is power. While everybody else is busy talking, they're learning. They're noticing body language. They're noticing emotions. They're noticing insecurities. They're noticing energy. And knowledge always beats noise. Imagine walking into a room full of people. Everyone is trying hard to be noticed, everyone is competing for attention, everyone is talking over each other. Now imagine one person sitting there completely calm. No desperation. No need to prove anything. No chasing approval. Just observing. Just listening. Just smiling slightly. Tell me honestly. Who suddenly becomes more interesting? Exactly. Because confidence isn't loud. Confidence doesn't beg people to notice it. Confidence quietly sits there and lets people come toward it. And this is exactly why some people can walk into a room and instantly own it, not because they say more, but because they need less. Now here's the part you've been waiting for, the solution. Because knowing the problem means nothing if you keep living the same way tomorrow. So if you want people to naturally listen to you, naturally respect you, naturally feel your presence without talking too much, remember these simple rules. Rule number 1, stop explaining yourself to everyone. This alone changes everything. Most people waste massive amounts of energy trying to make everybody understand them. They explain why they did something, they explain what they meant, they explain why they feel a certain way, over and over again. But powerful people understand something. People who truly respect you usually don't need endless explanations. And people determined to misunderstand you will misunderstand you anyway. Stop wasting energy proving yourself. Rule number 2, become comfortable with silence. This is where most people lose. Because silence feels uncomfortable at first. The moment a conversation becomes quiet, panic starts. Your mind says, say something, say anything, don't let this become awkward. But stay there. Stay calm. Let silence exist. Because silence isn't your enemy. Silence is pressure. And pressure reveals people. Watch what happens when you stop rushing to fill empty space. People start talking more. People reveal more. People become uncomfortable before you do. And suddenly, you become the calmest person in the room. Rule number 3, ask more than you speak. Remember this forever. Questions create connection. Questions create curiosity. Questions create influence. Don't walk into conversations trying to impress people. Walk into conversations trying to understand people. Because when somebody feels understood, they remember you. Rule number 4, speak slowly. Most people speak fast when they're nervous. Fast speech secretly says, please accept me, please listen to me, please don't ignore me. Slow speech says something completely different. Slow speech says, I'm comfortable. I don't need your approval. I know my words matter. Rule number 5, let your actions speak louder than your words. Because at the end of the day, words create an image, but actions create belief. Anybody can say they're confident. Anybody can say they're strong. Anybody can say they're different. But very few people can quietly prove it through how they live. And that's where real power comes from. Because eventually people stop listening to what you say, and start watching what you do. And here's the biggest truth of all. You don't need to become louder to become more powerful. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to force attention. You don't need to chase people. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do, is say less. Listen more. Stay calm. And let your presence do the work. Because the person who controls themselves, never needs to control everyone else. If this video made you realize that you've been talking too much just to be accepted, comment, I choose silence, below. I want to know who's still watching till the end. And if you want to become the kind of person whose presence speaks louder than words, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell because this channel isn't about motivation, it's about building a powerful mind. Share this video with someone who talks too much and doesn't realize why people stop listening to them. And if you're ready to master yourself, click the next video on your screen right now, because your journey starts there.